Hi everyone. All right, so welcome to Module 4. Of all the things you're going to learn in evolutionary psychology, one of the most important is the environment in which we evolved. And this environment is called the Environment of Evolutionary Adaptiveness, the EEA. And from here on in the course, we'll be referring to the EEA fairly regularly. Let me just briefly describe what it is. It is a theory, first of all, okay, so keep that in mind. But it's thought to be this time period between about 2 million years ago to about 10,000 years ago. So from the Pleistocene up until the time when we started to do agriculture and domesticate animals and plant domesticated crops. So to about 10,000 years ago. These numbers are approximate. It's also thought to be, the hub of the EEA was really thought to be in the savanna areas of Africa near the equator. Let me explain why. Around the equator is where you have the most sun. Wherever you have the most sun, you have the most energy, and that's where you have the most diverse species beginning. So that's sort of like the creation of life, if you will. So you have the most energy, you have the most probability, the highest probability of new species evolving. So, and remember that there's a bunch of reasons why we get new species, as we covered in Module 2, I believe it was. Okay, so let's go back to this EEA. So we have a time period that stretches about 2 million years. So that's a long time, and it's in a very specific location. So when we talk about how we solve problems today, these solutions that we use today are really solutions that we would have used during that time period. So we don't talk about, say, how our thumbs are changing in response to texting, because texting has only been around for a couple of decades. It's too short a time period for us to have seen any real change in our morphology in our bodies. So when we talk about jealousy to do with mating, those are issues we would have faced over that 2 million year time period. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is a very specific location with very specific issues. I'll give you another example just to drive it home. So you might be thinking about why we like McDonald's food so much. Like, why do we like fatty, sugary foods, right? And especially when it leads to obesity, maybe, and it might cause us some further health problems. Well, in that environment, in the EEA, for us to get salt would be extremely rare. Okay, for us to be able to find sugar would be basically natural fruit, right? So ripe fruit. It would be very hard for us to find sources of fat, sweet, salt, and so on. And those elements of taste are actually very important to us for our nutrition, for bodily functions, as we'll talk about later on in the course. So we have not evolved in the last, say, 50 years per se, right? The way we are really reflects how we have been 2 million years ago to about 10,000 years ago. So keep in mind this issue of deep time when you're going through this course. If this is just a heads up, right? This is what the EEA is all about. You'll be reading about it much more in detail. You could also think about it in terms of a naked camping trip. So you're backpacking or you're camping. You have no clothes except for the ones that you make. You've got no shelters except for the ones you make. You've got predators chasing you. You have to find food, right? You have to hunt food. You have to make the weapons to hunt. You can gather berries, but you need knowledge of where those berries are, things like that. So, and I've been very reductionistic here in my argument to you, but I wanted you to get the general sense before you dive into the material. Okay, that is the biggest point of this module. So there's other issues that are going to come up with, and you'll see those under the objectives. So make sure that you're keeping on schedule, and make sure that you've been on the discussion board. If you're having any technological problems, which I hope you're not, but if you are, make sure you work those out. And we're getting close to the midterm, so make sure you're paying attention to where we are and what's coming up next. And I'll see you in Module 5. Okay, take care.